Welcome to Lesson 1 of Music Theory at the Piano. If you look at the piano, this area is called the keyboard. As you go to the left or down, the keys sound low like this. And as you go to the right or up, the keys sound high like this. Now if you look at the black keys, you'll see they're arranged in a pattern. You have 2, then 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, etc., all the way up and down the keyboard. So let's talk about how the piano works. Each key is attached to a hammer that strikes a designated string inside the piano. That's how the sound is produced. When you pluck or strike a string, it vibrates, producing sound waves, and the number of times the string vibrates per second determines the sound that you hear, or the pitch. A string that vibrates 440 times per second sounds like this. And in order to identify this pitch, we call it A. It's an arbitrary letter name, but for convenience, everyone would identify this pitch as A. And all of the keys on the piano have a letter assigned to them, but let's just stick with A for now. There's another word we'll use to refer to A, and that is a note. A is a note. I'll explain the difference between a note and a pitch in just a minute. Now the next thing I'm going to show you will help you understand how music is based on math. So when the string vibrates 440 times per second, we hear this pitch, A. Now what would it sound like if the frequency were doubled? So the string vibrates 880 times per second. Sounds like this. Now listen to 440 times per second and 880 times per second together. Isn't that interesting? When you double the frequency of the sound wave, you hear the same note but one octave higher. So this note is also called A. Here's A. And here's A. So the doubling of the frequency corresponds to the interval from this A to this A, and we call that distance 1 octave. What's amazing is that your ear can hear that the frequency is exactly doubled, so you're actually hearing math. Now what do you think it would sound like if we decrease the frequency by half? So let's play a string that vibrates 220 times per second instead of 440. This note is also A, but 1 octave lower. So this A vibrates 220 times per second. This A vibrates 440 times per second, and this one vibrates 880 per second. So the distance between this A and this A is 2 octaves, right? Because here to here is 1 octave, and here to here is another octave. And the same mathematical principle applies to every pitch. Say I start on this pitch, don't worry about what it's called for now, and then whatever the frequency is, I double it. It would sound like this. See, and that applies to every pitch, so let's start on another one. Or if I split the frequency in half. So what's the difference between a pitch and a note? Well, a pitch identifies the frequency of the sound wave. 440 hertz, and hertz is the unit for periods or wave cycles per second, or the number of times a string vibrates per second. So 440 hertz produces 1 pitch. Now a note is the name assigned to each pitch. In other words, 440 hertz, 880 hertz, and 220 hertz produce the same note, A, but each one of those frequencies produces a different pitch. So that's the difference. A musical interval is just the distance between two notes, right? So this interval, A to A, is 1 octave. An interval that sounds pleasant we call consonant, and an interval that sounds unpleasant we call dissonant. This might seem subjective, but definitions of consonants and dissonance are actually pretty universal, And it was discovered after these musical systems around the world had developed. It was later discovered by the ancient Greeks that these pleasing musical relationships are based on whole number ratios. So the sound came first and the theory came later. But what's fascinating is that our ear is able to pick up these mathematical relationships between sound waves. So an octave is consonant because the two pitches resemble each other and they fit together easily. I'm going to play some other intervals on the piano and see if you can determine which ones are consonant and which ones are dissonant. Don't worry about knowing what notes I'm playing or anything. Just listen and let your ear hear the mathematical relationships. So here we go. How about this one? That sounds pretty good, right? That's consonant too. And this? Those are all consonant intervals. Now how about this one? That one's dissonant. It's unsettling. And how about this? That's also dissonant. I'll explain what you're hearing in a later lesson, but for now let's learn some more notes. All of the notes are identified by a letter in the alphabet from A through G. Let's just start with the white notes for now. If you remember the layout of the keyboard with the pattern of 2 black keys, then 3, 2, 3, etc., here is A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then the cycle repeats. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But let's start the cycle with C. That's going to be our home base for now. In order to locate any C on the piano, find the grouping of 2 black keys and play the note directly to the left. So that's C. Let's find some other Cs. So 2 black keys, here's C. And one more. 2 black keys, here's C. I'm going to start with this C, right? 2 black keys, here's C. And this C is called middle C. It's easy to remember this because it's literally located pretty much in the middle of the piano, or rather it's the C on the piano that's closest to the middle of the piano. So it's easy to find, and the technical name for this note is middle C. So let's start the cycle of notes on middle C. Ready? So C, D, E, F, G. Now we go back to A. A, B, and the cycle repeats. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then let's end on C. Let's play it again in just one octave. The octave being this C to this C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And now let's play it down. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Now I'm going to play it and I'm going to sing each note as I play it. Feel free to sing along with me. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Now I'm going to play the notes again, and this time I'm not going to sing them or speak them. So now you try to sing along. If you have a keyboard at home, practice this, starting on C, and play all of the notes in one octave from C to C, C to shining C. In a future lesson, you'll understand why it's important to start and end on C. But for now, just listen to the progression of these notes. And once you've memorized the sound, try to sing it away from the piano. First find C on the piano, and then try to sing all of those notes from C to C 1 octave higher. Okay, that's the end of lesson 1. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Of course, these videos are free, but I always appreciate donations if you value the content and if you feel so inclined. So you can send me a PayPal donation to hannahhoffman.net@gmail.com.